Working through the EIA process. Familiarise yourself with the EIA guidance pages and guidance document. Agree whether an EIA is needed. Complete the forms and any associated actions. Gain approval for your EIA and review your EIA later.
Your first consideration is, do we need to do an EIA? The authority to decide whether an EIA is needed will differ according to context. Sometimes an individual person could decide whether an EIA is needed, but it's more likely to be raised and discussed by a number of people rather than an individual. Discussions might take place during meetings or with colleagues, teams, managers, and/or senior managers, depending on the context. You may decide to use the EIA screening form to help you decide whether an EIA is needed.
This will help save time and help make a decision on whether an EIA is needed without completing the EIA itself. Keep a record of your reasoning about whether to carry out an EIA, and it's a simple form to help you consider what sort of policy or procedural change you are potentially proposing. If you are revising an existing policy or practice, does an EIA already exist for current procedures? Who might feasibly be affected by the proposed or possible changes, and whether an EIA is needed in this particular case?
Take a look at the screening form flowchart. The flowchart helps you to decide whether to complete an EIA, or whether to revise an existing EIA, or conclude that an EIA is not necessary. The flowchart is just a visual representation of the screening form, not an additional task.
If you decide to go ahead with an EIA, you should complete the EIA assessment form. It's quite straightforward, as it asks you to record what change to the policy or procedure is being considered, who has been consulted so far in planning the policy or procedure, and what consultation you plan to do, what data and evidence you have gathered and considered, what potential or actual impacts of the policy will be, and how these relate to the people with different characteristics. And see our other presentation, What are equality assessments, for the full list of characteristics. The impact might be negative, positive, or even neutral. You may also want to consider how you will mitigate against the impacts identified, and how the new change or new policy or procedure might impact or interact with other university policies and procedures, and how you will mitigate those impacts. You will also consider how to plan and monitor and review any impacts once the policy or procedure is in place. And finally, there's also a section for the EIAs to be signed off or approved by someone with suitable authority.
But do we need to consult? There's no single answer. Not all EIAs will require consultation. It would be good practice to consult with relevant groups of people who may be impacted. This might help you to put mitigations in place, like changing your proposal or providing something additional to counteract the negative effect. Changes that impact a lot of people and/or impact people significantly are likely to benefit from greater consultation. Changes that are likely to have lower levels of impact on fewer people are less likely to necessitate consultation, but you could still consult if you wish to.
Consultation itself doesn't need to be a large exercise. You may wish to consult with appropriate stakeholders, and especially where there is a potential negative impact, the consultation should include any proposed mitigations to reduce this impact. The types of consultation options might include events with colleagues, organising focus groups, circulating questionnaires, targeting key stakeholder groups, and that might be staff, students, or those from underrepresented groups, emails, information in staff and student newsletters.
In forming an EIA with data, we don't always need data. For example, we know some people have disabilities, and we may not need to quantify how many disabled staff or students we have to know that we need to consider accessibility when creating new toilet and changing facilities, or when we are designing new buildings. When we do need data to understand how many people we have with particular characteristics, there are a number of places we can get this from.
Some data is available on our equality data web pages, including links to the breakdown of staff and student EDI characteristics. Our student EDI characteristics can be explored on the Student Statistics webpage. The university's HR systems team also supplies a range of online EDI reports and can provide bespoke statistics where they are needed. And also, our university and departmental Athena Swan applications contain a wide range of information, statistics, and actions for various departments across the university.
The university's Strategic Insights and Analysis team can supply a wide range of statistical information, for example, admissions, attainment, retention, student EDI data. There may be other departmental or university-wide reports and repositories that you could explore, for example, where data analysis has been completed before, or where specific monitoring and analysis exercises have been undertaken. You may wish to check local data against national data from the 2021 census or other external sources of data. Advance HE produce annual statistical reports which provide equality data on staff and students within UK higher education. Anecdotal evidence. Where you do not have access to more robust data, some anecdotal information may be used as supportive evidence until such time where data gathering, consultation, or research becomes available. If data does not already exist, you may wish to consider what further action needs to be taken to fill these gaps.
You may be able to mitigate some things and not others, and some of your options include changing your policy or procedure to lessen or eliminate any negative impacts on individuals, and this might be informed by your consultation. Secondly, justifying your policy or procedure, and even if that is disadvantaging one or more groups of people, if the change is proportionate in terms of means of achieving a legitimate aim, then discrimination may be lawful, but you may want to put things in place to support or make adjustments for affected groups to lessen the impact of the change, and you should demonstrate all alternatives have been explored first.
The EIA assessment form was about predicting the future and thinking about what might happen if we made changes to policies and procedures. Mitigations may have been put in place to eliminate or lessen negative impacts on particular groups of people. But how do we know whether we were right in our assumptions? We might need to undertake remedial work to put things right where unexpected outcomes emerge. In the EIA assessment form, you were asked to indicate how and when you would monitor and review the impacts of the proposed change. The EIA review form offers a way to look at what you predicted, what actually happened, and whether you need to take further work to deal with any unexpected outcomes.
The purpose of an EIA is to eliminate discrimination. Often, our biases are unconscious, and if we are not aware of them, they are harder to tackle. An awareness of unconscious bias may help to inform your equality impact assessment. Biases can rest within individuals, but also within structures, processes, and organisational cultures. They can lead to discrimination and inequality between different groups of people. Throughout the process of undertaking an equality impact assessment, and when reviewing or creating policies and procedures, try and be aware of potential unconscious bias. Take a look at our unconscious bias web pages for information on bias, how and where it might occur, and how you can take steps to avoid it.
And to find out more about EIAs, take a look at our other presentation, What are Equality Impact Assessments? Check out our EIA web pages. We'll add to these over time to provide case studies and further information and guidance. Read the EIA guidance document. Read that in conjunction with the EIA webpage content. Join our EIA Slack group to reach out to others who are completing or have completed EIAs. Use the EIA repository. Learn from others and share your EIA so others can learn from you. Contact the Equality and Diversity team if you have any general questions.